everybody. And I will get there. I promise I will get there to where I'm doing a live Q&A session. I haven't figured it out yet. So best I can do is to gather questions and then present them here. So I'm getting on live, so I'm getting on the Facebook thing anyway. That's that. This now looks completely different than it did last time, so hopefully I am actually live. It says I am, so I'm going to trust that I am. We're in there, so they are in a small town and wondering, they feel like just everyone has been turned against them, and apparently their ex-husband or something is a kind of a high-profile person, and they're thinking about actually relocating. I'm wondering if that seems extreme. And honestly, I say no. I say that makes perfect sense to me. I know how it can be. It can be completely devastating in a small town. That's exactly what happened to me, and it was pervasive, and it was really hell for my kids and me, because I was just really smeared, ostracized, all these lies about me, which then they heard, and they got filtered and all that stuff. And then they kind of did the same thing to my son too later. And it's really miserable. Plus the fact, besides all of that, there's the fact that you have, then you're not, if you move, you're not near the abusers, So staying in, because I was not allowed to leave. Actually, that's not true. I was allowed to leave. My kids weren't allowed to leave. They had to stay within 30 miles of their dad. And so I wasn't gonna leave my kids here with him. So that meant I stayed too. And so we were just at a point when my youngest child had turned 18, and he'd been 18 and out of high school for 3 weeks when my older son died. And so we had just about made it, and we were gonna head off, and then they could have some distance, some space between them and their abusers, get some treatment for their trauma. And I thought, we're gonna make it, we'll be golden, we'll be good. And well, I didn't quite get there. But yeah, I mean, if I had to do over again, of course, that's that could be the theme of a lot of things is, if I had to do over again, I would really do a lot of things differently. And one of them is that I would really have done whatever I could to get away from them. And so I think, if you're asking me because you're early on in the game and you're wondering if you're going to get things turned around, because this was my hope and my motivation. I mean, had I known I would have been really devastated had I known 15 years ago that it was never going to get better. At least I had the false belief that it was going to get a little bit better, which, I guess, which is something, I guess. It was just, but it didn't. It never did get better. And so, in retrospect, it would have been much better to just leave. So that's definitely what I say. If you can leave, you're able to leave. And the only reason you're not leaving is because you have some friends here, or you still hope that some things might get turned around or whatever. I'd say it's not really worth a gamble. The people that have turned against you, the likeliness of them turning back around is not good. At least that's been my experience. I have very, very few, really hardly at all have I ever heard anybody tell me how people turned around. It's not likely to happen, depending on how bad it went, how far into it they got. The further that it went, the longer it went on, and the worse things were for you, and the longer they didn't do the right thing or did do the wrong things, the less likely it is that they're going to come back. Even that's not even if they're the primary abusers. That's even if they're just a flying monkey or something. So yeah, and then the second part of that is, if you have kids and all that, getting them away from these abusive people is the best thing, because they are relationships of inevitable harm. If there's a narcissist that smeared you and that's their parent, it's a relationship of inevitable harm. Nothing good is going to come of that relationship. That person is never going to turn into a loving, responsible, compassionate person. They're always going to be a nasty person, and so the less that they can have to do with them, the better. So that, really, what are you staying for?